言うことは一つだけ。絶対負けねえ。
そうはいくか。いくぞ。おりゃ
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Nothing Excess again with a new player analysis. This time it's for the Fight Warriors in Blue Japan National Team Transfer Part 3, involving the last 5 players that participated in the match against Brazil in 1997 in the World Youth. That would be Misaki, Wakashimazu, Aoi, Takeshi, and Matsuyama. And so we're going to go over ahead and take a look at these players. Some of them are pretty good, some of them are interesting, and, you know, it's a pretty interesting banner, so let's get started. First off, we got Tada Misaki, Blue Flame Artist. A lot of people are hating on this Misaki. I'm not entirely sure why anyone would really be hating on a version of Misaki with 10k dribble, 10.1k pass, and 9.3k intercept. I understand why, though, to some extent. The easy comparison is Dreamfest Misaki, who's basically comparable to him with 9.4k dribble, 10.5k pass, and 9.9k intercept, while also having 10.2k shot and 9.3k tackle. The shot doesn't really matter at all for anyone that doesn't know, that knows that a Misaki is supposed to be doing on a team, which is enabling and utility, and being stuck with an S main shot on a Dreamfest Misaki means that he has issues while trying to figure out skill slots for him, and that's pretty rough. Now, this Misaki's benefits therefore lie in the fact that he has a great S pass as primary skill, which has 455 momentum for the same stamina as Green Cut Pass. But wait, there's more. Following the manga, this Misaki comes with the Super Sub passive. While that doesn't sound like much, remember that the Dreamfest version gets plus 10% for playing with Tsubasa. This Super Sub is a whopping 30%, which makes him a late game turnaround enabler and utility midfielder. In the second half, his dribble hits 13k, his pass 13.2k, his tackle 9.8k, and his intercept 12.1k, all of which are more than enough to consider him if you have a crowded midfield in Red Japan. His position is an attacking midfielder. His roles are enabler and utility, and I think I would rate him S or double S tier depending on when you play him. If you start him, he's S. If you sub him in, he's double S. Would I pull for him? Well, maybe. If you don't have a red Misaki, it would be a good idea to get this one. He certainly can come in the second half to relieve an exhausted midfielder and be very, very, very potent as a result. For his limit breaks, he's got 2 sets of limit breaks. The first one is utility. It's a standard utility build, which works well with him since he gets 30% of stats from Super Sub, and it just overall makes him very strong in 4 different categories and shores up his weaker tackling. That'd be 16, 16, 18 to the dribble tackle speed row, and 17, 17, 16 to the pass intercept technique. Now you can just go all in on passing and intercept if you really want to be able to bully defenders by passing the ball, and attackers with a magnificent interception EX. That would be the Technique Master build. That's speed, pass, intercept, and technique all 25. Now, it turns out that if you give him the S version of Flash Raiju shot, you can get all the way up to 70,888 in shot at the cost of 535 stamina. This leaves your S Tenacious Last Pass at 66.9k and your S Golden Duo at 69.9k. So this is an idea for you if you're trying to get into the game late to try and score, but it's not particularly necessary. And this is like a weird side build, and I call it Enable or Shoot. It's Shot Power 25 and then 17, 17, 16 Pass Intercept technique. Now, similar to the last build, but basically you're much faster, just not as good at cutting the ball. It's Enable or Shoot speed, but really it's the standard striker build. You know it well. Speed, shot power 25, pass technique 22.3. Now, the reason you would give him these builds is because you have like the Flash Raiju shot, the S version. You have it very high leveled up, and you want to actually still use it. Now, while he would still be better enabler, he's actually really not that bad at shooting the ball. 70.8k is actually quite good. It's not top tier, but it's also not bad at all. I think that would make him, in my opinion, that makes him kind of actually pretty frightening. I wouldn't want to have to deal with a Flash Raiju shot to the chest if I was one of the goalkeepers and this guy came in late. So that is an option for you if you want it. I'm not recommending it. I'm saying that if you're trying to get creative with your team building and you have this Misaki, this is one way that you could do it. People certainly won't expect it, basically. For his grading, depending on how you build him, scoring B or S. Now, because of his big skill support and big stats from his passive, if you bring him in as a sub, this Misaki is an incredibly flexible player that suffers from having significantly low stamina and from not being able to play for the full game. There's ways of playing this version of Misaki that make him a combination of some aspect of being either a competent shooter and utility man. His main role is still not as a shooter, but the build exists regardless as an option. So scoring is B or S depending on how you build him, again like I said earlier. His enabling is double S, defense S. Pressure A, he doesn't apply a lot of pressure, honestly. He is pretty independent though, unless you give him flash Raiju shot. So S independence, very flexible at a double S. There's a lot of different ways to build him as you saw. He's not quite durable, sorry, he's just B. Skill support though, he is Misaki, he has great skill support double S, and he creates more skill support actually because of his S path. Team skill S, not that great, and his passive, I mean, Super Sub is just not good. Maybe a strong version of Super Sub, but Super Sub is never great. There would have to be like a 50% Super Sub for me to consider giving it a double S. Or an S even. For his stats, 905 stamina paired with pretty interesting utility stats. That would be 10k dribble, 10.1k pass, 7.6k tackle is the weakest link of the defensive stats, but 9.3k intercept. And as always, he's good at low balls. Very good, sorry. Now, obviously, if you put him in as a super sub, his stats do get quite bigger. 13k dribble, 11.5k shot, 13.2k pass, 9.8k tackle, and 12.1k intercept. All in all, quite powerful indeed. For his skill build, S tenacious last pass, A magnificent dribble, S golden duo, A elegant tackle, and A magnificent interception EX. This is a perfect utility build. You have access to every defensive and offensive option you might be interested in, or if you aren't meant to directly interact with shooting. He also has the stats to really back up every single skill he uses, with tackling being the weakest link of his more midfielder-minded stats. Now there is an alternate build for him. If you want to actually shoot, I would go with I would keep obviously the tenacious last pass, which you can't change. S flash Raiju shot, A golden duo, A magnificent dribble, and A magnificent interception EX. You may consider shooting with him. If so, you may want to lower the stamina cost by taking A golden duo so that you can carry on the biggest shot in the game, S flash Raiju. You would even be sticking to the cannon too, because that is how they score, or one of the ways they score actually in the match. Next up, we have Ken Wakashimazu, Burning Two-Fist style. Here's the best part about Ken full stop. His main save is a 74.6k save attempt with no actual conditions. It just always works. Main problem is that it's a punch, but clever players can find ways to work with that. And some other players may even feed him a dupe of the Dreamfest Ken to give him a 73.1k punch instead. 73. Yeah. Why would they want to do that? Well, because his main punch costs 280 stamina, and he only has 915 stamina, that's why. You will have noticed that the goalkeepers for the 97 banners all have this issue. Stamina is all pretty abysmal, and the only way they can really survive the onslaught from opponents is to have more than one of them on the team backing each other up, which is more or less what would actually happen in the can if you think about it. No hybrid build is advisable considering his incredibly low stamina, since catching with him is just a particularly dangerous idea. It can be done if you're particularly desperate and don't mind killing the 18 Ken for a solid block. I really wouldn't do it. Still, not the best idea considering the stats don't make it worthwhile. His existence sort of solidifies the new S tier of goalkeepers, putting him in the conversation with 97 Genzo, 97 Morisaki, Red Hidden Ability Mueller, the Dreamfest Ricky Swords, and Dream Collection Morisaki, who are all in the same grouping. He is a goalkeeper, his role is a puncher, not a hybrid at all. Tier, S tier, he's an S tier keeper. He is the new generation of S tier keepers who can all sort of be played. And would I pull for him? I mean, maybe, again, if you really need a red goalkeeper, he's an option. He has downsides, but he has a lot of upsides, and the upside is that he really does do a good job of keeping the ball out of the net. Now for his limit breaks, there's two. There is the puncher one with 25 punch, speed, and power. As you can see, 74.6k for his main skill that he comes with, Desperate Chop. 73.1 for Wakadoryu Karate Chop. Wakadoryu Karate Punch. And S Wakadoryu Defensive Chop is 66.5k. You can give that to him if you need like a cheaper stamina option. That's almost like what, 230 or 240? It's something pretty low, and you could do that if you're trying to be super granular with your stamina. As you see, the solid block is only 56.9. S triangle jump 48.2, not good. But the triangle jump defensive chop 47.5, quite nice. Back kick 42.4, and then karate punch defense, which in my opinion is the next one you should care about, 36.5. Back kick C 24.1. If you do a hybrid limit break, you'll notice that you do sacrifice a little bit of power. You sacrifice about 1200 into each of these S skills that are punches, but you do raise them. So for example, 73.4 for Desperate Defensive Chop, but Solid Block goes from 56.9, which is basically 57k, to 61.9, so basically 62. And so I don't think that is worth it. I don't think there's any reason why you would want to do that, but I mean, I put it there just for illustrative purposes. I would not do it. I would only go for a punching build. For his grading, his main skill support does help him make his punching very granular when it comes to stamina investment, so you can realistically have a punch in every level of strength and use exactly as much punching power as you need for any occasion to save stamina if you really want to. It's the only thing that keeps his spam defense viable. Between that and actually having a passive that builds a ton of full power very quickly, which is supposed to deter people from spamming since it allows for a fast counterattack if they screw up. His main save is an S, his span defense is an A. He's A level independence, you know, he does rely a lot on having fast defenders to pick up the ball when he punches it back into play. He's not very flexible, B. He's not very durable, C. He has good skill support, so about an A, and then he has a double S team skill, which is the last super solidarity for red, and an S passive. For his stats, as you can see, 915 stamina, not very good, but he does have 13.1k punch, which is quite strong, and 11.3 catches, not too bad, but it's not great. Finally, for skill build, S desperate defensive chop, S wakadoryu defensive karate punch, A triangle jump defensive chop, B karate punch defense, and C back kick. Use the second slot to fit either of your duped punches. The goal here is a cheap S30 from either a deprecated old goalkeeper or a spare dupe, with the idea being that you use it to swat a ball away if you can afford to spend less stamina than a full S99, for which you have your fat 510 save. Anything you can punch away for even cheaper, you have an A, B, or C punch to work with at different levels of power. You're basically hoping you can back kick almost everything out of your face. Now, if only that were that easy. Next up, we have Takeshi Sawada, accurate development. Did you ever think you'd live long enough to see a gacha green Takeshi? I mean, did you ever think you'd live long enough to see the best player in the banner be green as well as someone like Takeshi and have killer hidden abilities to boot? Yeah, me neither. This is a character that can be passed a farmable S interception from another version, which is the S Swift interception, who has a 100% auto intercept chance so long as in the midfield. It's a character with a base 11.7k passing stat who learns an S pass that's 415 momentum. In fact, that's his main pass. Doesn't seem that great until you realize he also has mid-area master to make himself into a passer with 13.6k pass instead, which is wild. Also, while he's in the midfield, he also boasts a 10.2k dribble, 8.9k tackle, and 10.2k intercept stat because he also buffs himself by a bonus 1%. Comes with an A dribble, but he learns an S dribble from the league to go along with his S intercept that by the way can also be leveled from the league. If you have one of the versions of him, you can also pass him either an S or A 1-2 with Hyuga. By the way, he makes green Hyugas 5% stronger, or actually 6% because of the other HA. He's kind of like the blue Takeshi except with a much better passing skill for his main skill and all of the same advantages along with 1035 stamina and a 12% buff to all of Japan as his team skill. Holy moly! Takeshi is an attacking midfielder and a defensive midfielder. His roles are enabler, utility, and buffer. He is probably the easiest double S in this banner. He's very, very, very good. If you play green, he's desperately good for you. If you play green Japan, you need him yesterday. He is double S tier. Would I pull for him? Very, very yes. For his hidden abilities, he's got My Team All Stats +1. It's an easy +1% to all Japanese players with no restrictions or activation rates. If it was a 2%, it'd be double S. My Team All Stats +5%. Are you a green Hyuga? Get 5% with no questions asked. This is like Ishizaki's Tsubasa buff, but it's a little more limited. But to be fair, it's still 5% free for one of the strongest strikers in the game. If you have Stormy, this character is a must-have. Easy, easy, double S. Rain Puddle Resistance, PvE stuff, cool bean, C. And Auto Intercept Enhanced middle area. If you're in the midfield, you have a 100% chance of using a pass cut against any pass that flies above you. This is the first auto pass cut in the game with a 100% activation rate, where instead of messing with the activation rate, they limited the activation area. It's insane, it's wild, and holy moly, get in my team as soon as possible, Takeshi. You will always be welcome. For his limit breaks, this one's probably better given his main skill and what he's primarily going to use, passes and his auto pass cut. Remember, if you have an auto pass cut, you want to go fast. 25 speed and 25 all pass intercept technique. It's the technique master, you've seen it. Now, for the utility build, this is the utility build you know and love. The only reason I don't think I would go with this one is that his only tackle is a strong tackle, and that's not very strong at all, and I don't know what investing in more into strengthening it would make a difference or not. But utility, 16-16-18 first column, first row, dribble tackle speed, and then 17-17-16 for pass intercept technique at the last column. The last row, damn. For his grading, what exactly is there to say about this guy? The only reason he doesn't have SS skill support is because he doesn't have a good tackle, and because his skills are all kind of weak, actually. It's just funny that all of his actual skills that he can use are kind of farmable, so he'll probably be your most complete character the fastest. Like, by the end of the year, you'll have S30s all over the place, because you'll be able to farm them from the league. He's much better as a character than the Blue Junior Youth Dream Collection Takeshi is, although Takeshi does have a chance of buffing that Hyuga by 10% instead of 5% half of the time. This Takeshi's buff is more reliable for a solid 6% all of the time, of course, but it is also severely limited in the version of Hyuga it can affect. And as you can see, everything is wild here. Even though scoring is C, everything else is big. Double S enabling, pressure, flexibility, and hidden abilities, and S is all to defense, independence, durability, skill support, team skill, and passive. A lot of people might disagree with the S defense, but remember that even though he's not great at tackling, he still has an easy to get A80 tackle, and his swift interception kind of creates the funnel there where people are going to want to dribble against you a lot more than they will want to pass. And so you can easily guess tackle for the buff there. Or you can be like, if you're the second defender, then you're almost always going to cut the ball if the first defender can tackle. For his stats, 1035 stamina is actually quite a bit. And as you can see for his in-match stats, 8.8 dribble, 8.2 shot, 11.7 pass, 7.7 tackle. Again, it's not that great. And 8.8 intercept. Quite a bit better if you are in the midfield. For his skill build, S perfect control pass is the pass he comes with. Also, pass him the S swift interception from the Dream Collection Takeshi if you can, because you can level that up again from the league. S skill dribble, again from the Takeshi in league. That's actually something you can get directly. A strong tackle, and if you have it, S Toho's golden duo. If you don't, give him the A version. Even the B version if that's all you can get. Just try to find the S version of Toho's golden duo. Frankly, either other version will be just fine if you can't find them, with the A version at 850 being more than enough to try to get you through tight situations if you're trying to play him in the Dream Championship. Just remember, by the way, that the S version would make him almost like Misaki levels of 1-2. That might be somewhat difficult, though, to play him something like the Dream Championship because his stats are pretty huge and it'll be hard to fit him on that kind of squad. So, remember that. Next up, we got Shingo Aoi, the Burning Heart Dynamo, the bearer of Green's last access to Super Solidarity in this banner. This Aoi is kind of weird because he's basically just the 18 Aoi, but not as good. The passive is the same, but max 15%. The base stats are also not quite as good, and so nothing gets quite as insane. With his entire passive active, he's not the wall-to-wall threat that 18 Aoi is, even though everything about him more or less is trying to emulate him. Not just that, but even though he's primarily meant to be played as a forward or attacking midfielder that scores, he isn't even better at him than shooting. So, what is he good for? Well, he's a Japanese striker, which means that he does a bit better when facing a goalkeeper like Dreamfest Genzo than, say, your Santana might. I mean, you're running Santana and Hino somewhere on your team with all the Super Solidarities, right? Well, all in all, he's a lesser version of 18 Aoi that pretty much fills the same role more or less as him, without all of the cool benefits. No auto intercept, no stickiness, no cheaper abilities, and not much of anything else. It's somewhat strange that they didn't make Matsuyama just really strong out of the gate with a good passive and didn't give this guy some hidden abilities to counterbalance a strictly inferior kid to the red Aoi, but I guess K-Lab didn't want to get caught pandering to green too much this banner. I mean, Takeshi's crazy. Anyways, positions forward and attacking midfielder. His roles are a striker and utility. He is easy S tier. Actually, not that easy. He feels more leaning towards the A than the S, but you know, easy S tier is just because of team skill. Would I pull for him? Well, maybe if you're green and you need Super Solidarity, you kind of have to, right? For his limit breaks, I'm going to get tired of writing and explaining the standard striker at this point. 25, 25, 25, speed shot, power, 22, 3 pass technique. Also, if you want to remind people that you have an EX pass cut and you aren't afraid to use it, move the 22 from pass to intercept. And same limit break, just 22 intercept, 3 technique instead. For his grading, he's mostly an S tier player by virtue of just being able to do a lot of things pretty well. He's not 18 Aoi levels of doing a lot of things well because that character does a lot of things extremely well and also bullies you in the playground, takes your lunch money, and also never goes away. But he's fine enough that you can play him as a sub to come in at attacking midfielder to help the midfield a bit, or at forward to try and score. So that makes him an S scorer and enabler, and S with flexibility, durability, and skill support, and his passive is pretty much an S. For defensive pressure, he's just an A, and he's not very independent. He needs a lot of Japanese players on the team to be the best he can be. That does kind of limit his independence somewhat, but not too bad. For his stamina, 1100, again, this is kind of pretty normal amount of stamina for Shingo. 8.8k dribble is in-match stat, 10.8k shot, 8.6k pass, 8.2k tackle, 8k intercept. Again, pretty all over the place, just like the red Aoi, just not quite as good as red 18 Aoi. For his skill build, I would keep the right angle whirlwind feint that he comes with. Obviously, he also comes with the right angle tornado feint shot. Can't do anything about it, but it's actually kind of decent. It's a 475 shot. A juggling pass, you know, that he comes with, good. A triangular long pass, which you could farm right now from the 27, like the banner with the 2017 old stuff. And then a bob and weave interception EX, which hopefully you kept some copies of. Just take advantage of the current event and pull as many copies of that A triangular long pass as you can and give them to yourself because they're quite good and quite useful. The reason you take juggling pass and not just on 1-2 is because you will sometimes be dropping the ball to a more capable forward, as Aoi is not likely to be the best forward on an experienced team. And then finally we have Hikaru Matsuyama, the Zealous Eagle. I really don't understand what K-Lab's obsession is with making Matsuyama really gimmicky every time they release a version of him. But here we are, with another pretty strong yet still gimmicky version of Matsuyama, but this time in blue. This guy's like the part-timer version of Dream Collection Matsuyama. As a starter, he's just a viable defender who buffs Tsubasa and Aoi by 3% each, and Sano, I guess. Gets 10% full power every time they win a matchup, and can run themselves out of stamina and still use skills, so long as they're not at 0 stamina. But as a sub, he is 20% stronger. Well, what's that mean? Well, his tackle ramps up to 13k, which is more Dream Collection-y. His main skill is an S tackle that has 490 momentum for a 460 cost, which is basically like the Dream Collection version. That wasn't enough to convince you of how many times he's basically just going to run up to attackers and mug them for the ball even when they're trying to shoot. His intercept also climbs to a respectable 10.1k so that you can try and cut passes if you think the opponent isn't just going to mindlessly shoot. 9.6k pass and 10.4k dribble round out the set of his stats if he comes in as a sub. There's not much else to say here really. He's going to tackle the ball a lot and build full power for doing so, and also he will make Tsubasa quite a bit more scary on the field as he does so. And Aoi. And maybe Sano, I guess. Whatever. Position. Defensive midfielder. He can't defend. That's actually the weird part. He can't play defense. He's just a defensive midfielder. His roles are defense, buffer, and counter. He counters basically... I mean, it sounds weird, but because one of his inabilities is basically geared towards mugging the Swedish people. That's pretty much it. That's why it's a counter. Tier S or double S, depending, and pull, well, maybe. I mean, if you need a Matsuyama, obviously, he does have the last super solidarity. It's usually how it works now. For his hidden abilities, tenacity, S. If you don't know what it does, when you run out of stamina, as long as you have more than 0, you can still do something. You get one more skill. When I say more than 0, I mean like you have to have 1 or more. Swedish player killer, rating A. What's up with all these people trying to mug Levin? I don't get it. There's a lot of people with Swedish player killer. It's like 20% Levin mugging, by the way. Snow and snow cover resistance, C rating, PvE stuff, cool beans. He's from Hokkaido, so of course. Full power gauge up. Win a matchup and you get 10% to your full power gauge. That's pretty good. Not as crazy as other players that have been getting it, but still pretty good. I rate that easy yes. All stats +3 to Tsubasa and Aoi. That's an easy yes. It's almost a double S, but it's not like team-wide, right? It's not like a Wyron who could basically buff your entire team if you picked them. So it's just an easy yes. If you're fielding Dreamfest Tsubasa and World Cup Aoi because of Super Solidarity, well then you're a jerk. Sano gets buffed too for all 2 of you that actually run that character as a starter and on the bench for the 15-7. For his limit breaks, we have just 2. Most Matsuyama players use this one to tackle really hard and then deliver the ball, but sometimes they also want to be able to cut passes. So the Matsuyama special is tackle speed 25, and then pass intercept technique 17-17-6. You may have noticed that your dribbling skill is a little high too, like your actual stats, when you come in as a sub. If that's the case, and you want to put that to work, and you're willing to leave a little bit of tackle on the table for the privilege, you can go with the regular utility 16-16-8 dribble tackle speed, 17-17-16 pass intercept technique. For his grading, his stats put him at double S as a super sub, but he's still pretty viable if you have no other dream defensive midfielders to run and want to start him instead at DM. It's a little hard to find room for him in Blue Japan because it's a crowded archetype, but the teams that can run him can definitely run him pretty well, like teams that run Event Aoi or the 1-2 Aoi at defensive midfield, for instance. For his actual grading stats, scoring B, enabling S, defense S, and independence S. His pressure doesn't apply a whole lot of it, and his passive is not that great. Again, super sub, kind of limiting. However, his flexibility, durability, skill support, and team skill are all double S. There's a lot of things you could do with him in different ways, and he's quite durable with tenacity and that large amount of stamina, and he has a bunch of skill support. That's part of the reason why he's so flexible. And obviously with super solidarity, double S team skill easily. For his actual stats, 1152 stamina. These are the base stats. You can see only tackle is probably higher than everything else, which results in 8.6k dribble, 8k pass, 10.8k tackle, 8.1k block, 8.4k intercept. Now, if you put him in as a super sub, the stats do increase quite a bit to 10.4k dribble, 9.6k pass, 13k tackle, and 10.1k intercept. Finally, for a skill build, give him S Diligent Defense. That's what he comes with. Then, if you can find him a copy of S Eagle Pass and level it up, you should do that. If not, just level up his A Eagle Pass. You can give him the A Smooth Ball Keeping from the 2017 versions, A Avalanche Attack, if you can find it, which is a great one too, and A Eagle Intercept from the Dream Collection version if you have a spare or if you don't care about losing it on your sole copy. You'll need to get the Intercept from the Dream Collection version of him, and the A Dribble can be obtained either through SRs and farmed in one of the current events. You may also need to find another crappy Matsuyama to find Avalanche Attack, which is a nice skill because it's a no player requirement 1-2 that costs 375 and hits 300 momentum, and having a 1-2 at the DM slot is surprisingly nice. Anyways, all, thank you all for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, please go ahead and click the like button and leave a comment telling me what you think. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, please subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified of when new videos or posts are made before checking out the rest of the channel. Also, if you would like to support my work, you can do so by either leaving a tip by clicking on the Streamlabs link in the description, or by joining my Patreon, where you can subscribe monthly and enjoy the unique benefits available to my Patreon subscribers. You can check that out by following the Patreon link below or using the URL shown in the video. Thank you guys for checking this out, and I hope to see you guys soon.